In this video we are going to test and compare two of the most popular laser engravers, the Atomstack A5 Pro and Sculpfun S6 Pro. The machines are in the same price bracket and offer similar performance on paper. In this video we are going to test the engraving performance, measure the laser focus spot size, and we will do some cutting tests on poplar plywood, pine and beech hardwood and acrylic to see the performance differences between the two laser engraving machines. I needed to assemble the Atomstack A5 Pro, which I just received. All parts come well secured and protected like all laser engravers I tested so far. The assembly is easy, and it took me approximately half an hour to assemble the laser engraving machine. Assembly is quick and the engraver comes with a good and easy to follow manual. Interestingly, the power supply came with a detachable power switch. But the strange thing is that the switch has female connectors on both sides, and this way, it cannot be plugged into the machine. Does anyone know anything about this? Here is the assembled Atomstack A5 Pro next to the Atomstack A5 20W I have also tested previously. The Pro version is made from much nicer looking parts and gives out more premium look. And here are all three machines together. In this video, I will compare only the Atomstack A5 Pro and Sculpfun S6 Pro because these two are in the same price range. I didn't need to assemble the Sculpfun S6 Pro as I already have it assembled and tested. In this video, I will mainly show the footage of the Atomstack A5 Pro since I already did these tests on the Sculpfun S6 Pro in another video, and if you want to see it, check the video description where I will list the previous videos. For optimal performance, the head needs to be 2 mm above the engraving surface. Focusing is done by putting the supplied acrylic sheet under the laser head and lowering the head on the plate. The acrylic is 2 mm thick, and after tightening the Z-axis screws with a hex key, the head stays 2 mm above the surface. Alternatively, the Sculpfun S6 Pro uses a different focusing method using an aluminium block, and instead of hex screws, the Z-axis can be adjusted with thumb screws without additional tools. Personally, I find the Sculpfun focusing method faster and easier. The Atomstack's A5 Pro acrylic light shield and the metal plate behind the laser head hang much closer to the material than with Sculpfun. Consequently, the 3 mm thick magnets always hit the laser head. The Sculpfun shield stays 1 mm higher, plus there is no metal plate behind the head, which avoids this problem. First, we are going to do the standard engraving test on poplar plywood. The test pattern consists of three main parts. The power scale test shows us how the engraving performance is affected at different speeds. The interval test is especially good for determining if the machine has a square or rectangular dot shape, as it progressively increases the distance between each engraved line when scanning horizontally and vertically. And the photo engraving test is there to see how much detail you can get when engraving a photo. The results look good. Let's compare them with Sculpfun S6 Pro. The S6 Pro has much smaller beam size. Because of that, the image engravings come out much more detailed. And the interval test shows us that the Atomstack has bigger and much more rectangular beam size than the Sculpfun S6 Pro. You can check out the high detail images of the results on my new webpage hobbylasercutters.com. The next test was engraving on black anodized aluminium. This test shows the engraving precision, laser dot size and shape, and overall laser output power. The main feature of this test is the interval test in vertical and horizontal direction to further evaluate the dot shape, as the engraving on anodized aluminium comes out very crisp and detailed, and therefore it is easy to clearly identify the laser dot shape. At a first glance, the Sculpfun shows to have a smaller dot overall. The Atomstack beam spot is much more rectangular, as scans horizontal direction look much more different than in vertical direction. Let's do some further testing with the digital microscope. The text engraving is done at 600 mm per second, which is quite fast for such small movements, and therefore some shaking of the laser head is visible in the corners. This can be easily avoided by reducing the acceleration and speed in the settings. The Sculpfun S6 Pro did a better job engraving small text because of the smaller beam focus. The Sculpfun S6 Pro has smaller dot shape, sized approximately 0.1 by 0.2 mm, while the Atomstack A5 Pro focus spot size is approximately 0.1 mm by 0.25 mm. I don't know why with the Atomstack, the interval lines in horizontal direction are not evenly spaced. I will need to investigate that further. The next test on the list was the focus distance test. The purpose of this test is to see how the focus point size increases with distance when cutting thicker materials. This test will show us the potential for cutting the thicker materials. I start by placing 3 3mm acrylic sheets on the laser bed and place the wood board on top. Then, I focus the laser optimally on the surface and engrave the text, and the first square with 0 mm written in it. 0 mm now symbolizes the optimal focus. Then, I remove one 3mm acrylic sheet, consequently moving the wooden board 3 mm lower than the optimal focus, and engrave another square without readjusting the focus on the head. Here we can see how the beam shape looks 3 mm deep into the material. Then, I remove another acrylic board, so there is 6 mm distance between the optimal focus and surface. And lastly, I remove the remaining board and engrave a square at 9 mm below the focus point. You can see here how far is the laser head from the material. When comparing the results, we can see that the Sculpfun S6 Pro has a smaller dot size overall, which should mean more precise cutting performance. One thing that bothers me a bit with the Atomstack compared to Sculpfun is that the red protection shield is pretty dark, and it is difficult to see the laser dot when it is turned on with low power for positioning the material. The Sculpfun's green color is much better for this purpose, plus it is cylinder shaped, which does not produce as many reflections which affect the visibility. And now let's see how both machines perform at cutting 3mm and 6mm poplar plywood boards. I run the tests at 300, 600 and 900 mm per second, both in horizontal and vertical cutting direction. The direction is marked on the test pieces. I will not include clips of all the tests in this video, but check out my new website hobbylasercutters.com, where I will post detailed images and results of all the tests you see here. And here are the results. If you are interested, pause the screen to read the table or visit the website for more data. The Atomstack A5 Pro cuts a little bit faster, but since the focus spot is larger and more rectangular, this means more trouble when cutting tight-fitting finger joints. Personally, I prefer the cutting performance of the Sculpfun, but this decision depends on your needs. Both machines were good at cutting solid 4mm thick pine board and much denser 3mm beech wood. Cutting 3mm black acrylic was an easy task for both machines. The Atomstack A5 Pro did it a bit faster. When I tried to cut 3mm blue acrylic, neither of the machines managed to cut it. Perhaps the blue acrylic reflects the blue light from the laser, and therefore they are unable to cut it. So, which machine is the best for you? For me personally, it is the Sculpfun S6 Pro. It is only a bit slower at cutting than the Atomstack A5 Pro, but when engraving, it has a smaller and more rectangular focus beam. I think that you can always wait a couple of minutes more for cutting, but you can never make the focus spot smaller. And be sure to visit my new website hobbylasercutters.com, where I will post detailed images and results of all the tests done in this video. You can find the purchase link to the laser engravers in the video description. The links are affiliate links, which means that I earn a small commission from your purchase at no extra cost to you. This helps to support my channel and enable me to make more videos and projects. I will be releasing some more laser engraver related videos in the following months, and if you don't want to miss future videos, you can subscribe and click the bell icon so you will get notified when the video is released.